be joined here with Jason Baudendistel. Did I say it right?
That's not the worst that has been butchered before, so I'll take it.
Okay, I do apologize. I am horrible with names and short-term memory. So I'm going to roll the credits real quick for everybody out there in the world of the internet. Thank you for tuning in, you guys. You are the oxygen for stuff like this. So here we go, real quick. I'm going to take me out. I'm back. You're back. There we go. Okay. So, hello everybody out there in Facebook. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to share it to LinkedIn. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We're going to talk some 420 and sports. I'm joined by Jason all the way from St. Louis. So he's a couple hours ahead of me. So I thank him so much for staying up late and hanging out and jamming with us. So if you're out there, give us some love and let us know where you're at, what time it is and all that stuff. Just give me 1 second to finish up this sharing on LinkedIn and then you'll have my full attention. I'm live. Please join. There we go. All right. Phone is away. Okay. So, also get my DuBe rolling here. So Jason, it's St. Louis, or St. Louis area?
I guess St. Louis area is the best way to describe it because I actually live about 20 minutes from the city limits. I like being having a little bit more room, whereas if you're in the city, it's a lot more compacted.
So you're like in the country then, kind of, or the
basically, you could kind of call it more of a suburb.
Right on. Yeah. Did you grow up in that area?
I actually grew up right across the river in Western Illinois, and then a portion of my life as well in Southern Illinois. To give a quick overview, kind of come from like absolutely nothing. Joined the military at 18, 4 years Navy.
Wow.
Got out and then discovered that job market for vets kind of sucks. A lot of them get treated like either cheap labor or damaged goods, which is crappy, but unfortunately, some people could be like that. So, started my first project. Went and actually, I ran an indie record label for a couple of years called Baudendistel Records.
Cool.
Worked with a couple bands that have some notoriety. A band, Oh Hush, actually wrote a song for CeeLo Green. Reckless Valentine was on our charity compilation, and then I helped book a show for the Dolly Rots, who aren't super famous, but they did do a commercial for like Macy's, I think, several years ago. So I guess you can kind of call them. And the song "Because I'm Awesome," I think, was actually relatively well known. So
Okay. So what got you into sports? Did you play sports growing up? Like what was your go-to jam?
I played Little League baseball, soccer, and through like grade school, and then basketball in high school. I was I was always that awkward nerdy guy that was a mediocre athlete, but seemed to really like statistics a lot, and so that was actually the part of sports I liked more than actually playing. So that's why with the basketball side, I tend to do a lot of stats related stuff and the sports medicine related stuff that because the name's basketball rehab, so we figured that touching on how it could help with how we could do insight on different sports injuries and do sports injury analysis would be a cool thing to do with the name. And then we also do the typical stuff for a basketball site, like news and rumors as well.
Right.
And then the 420 Sports actually, I'm very pro cannabis. I'm passionate about cannabis. And then obviously I have my passion for sports. I've done a bunch of different software projects before I got into this. So it was just kind of like a lead in, like software, and then uh, kind of uh, basically my life kind of went nuclear a few years ago, and uh, cannabis was one of the things that pulled me out of that funk, and I feel that it saved my life, and so combining that with my passion for sports just seemed to make too much sense. So it
No,
all
it's a great. I'm surprised that it wasn't taken on the internet already. Like it just seems to like I fell in love with it. Right, I was like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, I like this guy. 420 in sports, like perfect combination. And yeah, like cannabis is crazy good. And that's the other part with sports is like when I grew up, cannabis was so frowned upon, and now it's like the NBA, they just extended their thing where the players are allowed to consume or whatever. So it's definitely changing, and especially with the medicine aspect and the rehab and the pain therapy and all that sort of stuff that the athletes go through. So I think it's great that they're allowed to use it instead of all the prescription crap and
yeah, I like the fact that they're starting to attitude is starting to soften. People are starting to realize, uh, like the average person doesn't know that there's more than just the CBD and the THC. That there's dozens of cannabinoids that all have different health benefits to them. Uh, CBA and CBG both act as anti-inflammatories, just like CBD, but most people have no clue that they even exist. And then you've got the terpenes, which basically also provide a medical benefit, but they're also it really has to do a lot with the quality and the potency of the specific buds that are harvested.
yeah.
Uh, but most people they just see the THC number and they just look for the highest one. I think it's a matter of educating people to realize that the maximum THC content does not necessarily always mean that it's a quality product or quality piece of bud. So
Kind of like alcohol, where you see that 8% beer, and you know that's like some rough stuff. But if you want to get drunk, you're gonna drink it.
yeah, I mean, obviously, if it has a ton of THC in it, just like with the high alcohol beer, like just like some Pabst Blue Ribbon, they'll still do the bare minimum that you're probably wanting it to do. It just you won't get some of the other good effects.
Yeah,
Whereas I'm actually kind of a beer snob. My wife gives me crap. She's like, "So if it doesn't have grapefruit or orange peel, you won't be drinking it." I'm like, "Well, taste matters with beer, you know. I mean, but everybody's wired differently."
yeah. I can't drink ales. I just have never got into like the ales. I'm a lager guy. I'm pretty simple. And even recently, in the last few years, it's like I drink hardly at all, and then when I do drink, I've narrowed it down to like which beers don't give me headaches, because like I only drink on the weekend, and it's like I don't know. Even recently, just maybe because I'm not used to it as much, but it just seems to give me a headache. And I even last night I just went into the store and I got one beer. That was it. I was just like, that's all I want. I just want something to. It's Friday night, and like with the cannabis though, like I don't know what it's like with you guys down there, and in the St. Louis, but here it's all legal and everything. So like the first time I ever went into a pot shop, I was, you know, oh, we did a
Okay, you're
little
still here. Okay, good. I was like,
that was weird.
he's been taken. I need to go get him help. So
No, what I was saying, like first time I went into the pot shop, I was still like under like years and years of the prohibition where weed is bad, and I was just like I walked in there like so nervous, like am I gonna get arrested? And like, but now it's been a while, and doing this show and learning
our first
kind
time
of
in Colorado, my poor wife acted like she felt kind of out of place because but yeah, it's attitudes have really shifted a lot. Uh, when here in Missouri we have medical law, and then we have right across the river in Illinois, it's completely legal. So that's the cool thing is that it's starting to shift so that people have more access, and that's not. Uh, Although if you've ever had tour, you can still find whatever you need if you look hard enough. But
that's the nature of the beast. So are you able to go across state and then pick up from other states, or how does that work? Like
uh,
it's like within your own thing?
my impression is that you could get some from Illinois and bring it home. Uh, they probably frown upon it because they really want to use in dispensaries here. But since we only have a medical law, if you wanted rec, you don't really have any other choice. So
What does it take to get like medical license for
I
like
believe it depends on what medical conditions you have, but they've been more lenient in Missouri than they have been in some of the other medical states. Like certain types of anxiety and pain relief are included, and
okay.
then it's also really helped with. I was going to say, other than the increased access, other things that I really like about the new law, I was touching on the fact that it covers a multitude of conditions, and then I got kind of distracted because I was worried that I'd woken my wife.
You did.
But
I apologize.
You did. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm not used to my husband being up this late.
yeah, so she gets a little paranoid sometimes if I'm not in bed with her. So I'm
Aw.
See,
running
I'm
away
not
to
the
Cabo.
only
staying up
one.
late.
My wife's hanging out in the background too. So
I'm not the only one.
cheers to our wives who love us
Yeah,
very much.
I'm not running away
Put
to
up
Cabo.
with our
Yeah.
BS.
Although
That's
Cabo would be
awesome.
really nice this time of year, just come to think of it. So
So have you guys ever been out west or up north to Canada?
I was stationed actually out by Seattle for a couple of years, and then we had support operations that we actually went to San Diego a few times. So I've
Right on.
been to both San Diego and San Bernardino, and then my time staying in the Seattle area, I got kind of spoiled with my time on the West Coast. So going back to the Midwest was originally not the first choice, but it just kind of happened that way.
Well, that's home, right? That was where you
True.
grew up. Yeah, no, I know. I
Yeah,
grew up
when
here, and then I
yeah,
traveled with the carnival, and I really realized how nice it is here. It's definitely a different lifestyle being out by the water, and then when you're like in the middle of the continent and you don't see much water other than rivers, it's a different lifestyle, I guess. But okay, for anybody out there that's been patiently waiting, I have this DuBe rolled finally, and it's I actually saved some roaches. Things have been a little tight with me, so I got a little bit of good bud and some homegrown that my friends gave me that's actually really kick-ass, which I got distracted earlier. So you're saying about the high THC content thing? I've been looking into that too.
The THC content is not necessarily a driver of quality and potency. Things like the terpenes, as well as the CBA and the CBG, are actually the more important aspects, especially if you want it to have medical purpose as well.
Yeah, that's totally true. And like, I've been like getting into the industry in the bud tender term, and like going to the pot shops here, it's like, well, what do you want? Are you sativa or indica, and like THC level? And that my initial reaction obviously is like, oh wow, look at that, it's 27 THC or 22% THC, or like, oh my goodness, like let's go for this stuff and that stuff. And then over the course of the last year or two, I've been like, well, let's try this, it's a little bit lower and maybe the price is different or whatever, but just like downgrading, but yet noticing the more like subtle effects of like just being more relaxed or in less pain. Like myself, I use it for eating. Like it helps me digest my food, and also gives me an appetite. So when I was a kid, I used to have really bad stomach aches, and obviously back then weed was frowned upon. But I wish, as a child, the child of me coming out, I wish they knew what they did now about cannabis, so that possibly I could have been given cannabis to avoid all the issues that I had. Like they took tons of x-rays and ultrasounds and couldn't figure out why I was in pain and not eating, and like, yeah, and then that progressed into my adult years, and I eventually went to a doctor and explained everything going on. He was like, you just want to get high. I was like, no, I don't. I like legitimately, like, this is what's going on. Like, look at my medical history. Like, it's not just like I want to get high and just get this green card, like, because it's cool. I was like, the same time, you remember that South Park episode where I think Mr. Garrison had fried his balls and was like trying to get the green card and gave himself cancer and was bouncing around on the balls. That was about the same time. So like obviously, but changing the mindset of people of like, just like, let's go get this free cannabis and medical marijuana. Like, do you really need it, or is it just, where do you draw the line anyway?
Yeah, I remember he put his balls in the microwave. I remember that episode way too fondly.
Yeah, South Park rocks. I love them. I've watched like every episode, except for the last year or so. So okay, you're more of a basketball guy. Let's switch gears here. So basketball. Who's your favorite team then?
I'm a Bulls fan, which requires a great deal of patience and some suffering, especially the last several years. So
That's awesome. I'm actually still a Bulls fan from the Jordan days. I just couldn't give up my Bulls homage. I actually have a Bulls starter jacket, like a really cool reversible retro one that I lost a few years ago that I'm still bitter about. So I'm like not keeping track of the teams lately and the NBA and stuff, like limited time. But I mean, obviously, as a Canadian, the Raptors winning a few years ago was pretty awesome. But even then, I think I watched like 3 games that whole playoff run. So I'm not a very good Canadian in that term, but it was definitely pretty cool to see. And obviously the Grizzlies, I don't really want to talk about that being a Vancouver kid, but I did get to go to a couple games, and that was pretty awesome.
This is going to make us both sound old, but I do remember them. And I think if I remember correctly, they eventually ended up in Memphis. I don't remember if I missed a step in between there, but
yeah, they went to Memphis, and I was really bitter about the whole situation. And I think that was like when I got out of school and started into my adult life of like not being able to just be a kid and watch sports all the time. So I kind of drifted away from the NBA. Still kept tabs on like Jordan and all that stuff, but like he's just the best. Like that was like I didn't have a dad growing up, so that was like my go-to look up. You know, I'm sure everybody wanted to be like Mike, but
yeah, I've dealt with a similar situation, so I know what it's like not to have a father figure in your life. So that probably also played a role in why I don't have much of an off switch. So if they ever find my body, my wife probably did it. So.
Same here. That's funny.
She was saying the dogs may have assisted, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm in trouble. We got a litter of puppies, so I know where I'm going if I say the wrong thing. They're actually super cute. I'm like, oh my goodness, we're so lucky. My goodness, they're so cute. And we had them on the 20th, which was like the day before the Christmas start. And one of the puppies actually is like super white, but she's got 2 black spots that are just exact circles, and they look like that twin star thing. So it's like, how do you explain that? Like that was so trippy. So they're just so mesmerizing, like especially the last week or so, watching all these little drunk puppies, you know, like the drunk people stage where they're learning to walk and talk. And it's just like the best TV ever. It wasn't very hard to take a week off of like the socials and tune into the drunk baby puppy TV this week.
I can understand that.
Do you got any animals and stuff? Are you an animal fan?
Yeah, actually, on top of we have a Husky Yellow Lab mix, Golden Retriever, and a Black Lab Shar-Pei mix. So
Oh wow.
we officially graduated to the 3-dog household. They're basically our furry kids. They're pretty spoiled, and so I even have. I've debated a name change, but for the time being, I actually have a internet reality show that I'm planning on doing more content for called Man vs. Dog.
Okay.
You can actually go to the website and sign up for our newsletter, manversusdog.com, and that actually allows you to get updates when we have new stuff come out. So.
Okay, I'd totally check that out. Oh, that sounds pretty cool. Yeah, I'm joining the club of 3 dogs too. I've got a Chihuahua, my dog that had the litter, and we're also keeping one. So, and I got 3 cats, 2 hamsters or gerbils or whatever for the kids. I don't really like them, but my kids, they like them. So, and yeah, we had a snake, but she passed away last summer. We moved her in by the window, and it was like the hottest day of the year, and I came home and she was cooked, and it was like a creamsicle corn snake, and she was about 6 feet long, and she was the most docile, gentle, loving snake. Yeah, it was pretty sad. I know some people aren't really into snakes, but
Well, it sucks because it's really hard for them to regulate their temperature. So if they get in an environment where things get either too hot or too cold, it's really easy for them to their body temperature to get too high or too low.
yeah, I actually saved her life a few times. We moved in the winter time the one year, and it was like super cold, and I had her in the back of the van, and then when I pulled her out of the van, she wasn't moving anymore, and I just stuffed her in my shirt, and I'm like a heater to begin with, so it was like 2 hours wrapped around me, and then she came back to life. I was happy, but yeah, it is difficult. Like that's one thing I didn't realize about having a reptile is the temperature and how key that is. Like you got to be on top of that.
Yeah, like most living things, if it gets too hot or too cold, they have some ability to adapt. Unfortunately, reptiles, they got the short end of the stick there. If it gets really extreme, either one, they seem to be. It can be tough on them. So
Yeah, we're much the same too. Like I guess we're the warm-blooded, so we don't do too well in the cold. I know. You guys got any snow this year?
yeah, we got a little bit here not too long ago, actually.
Do you get lots of snow? How is the weather usually in St. Louis area?
Well, we got like a dusting of snow. My wife is commenting that like a dusting doesn't really count. So
We saw one snowstorm this year, and it was the strangest thing ever because there was lightning and thunder at the same time. It was like, what? Because like I hopped out of the van to go take a pee. We were on our way to go somewhere, and it was just like I hopped out, and then crack! Like, what is that? Oh my god! I almost got electrocuted. Like there's like, and it was intense. Like the whole sound of the thunder just rippled across the island, and it was just a beautiful thing. And then this summer, the Canucks were actually playing in the playoffs. I think it was like the second last game before they got eliminated, and I was like sitting out on my deck and I can see like the most amazing view. Like I looked on the map and I've got like about a 300-kilometer circumference that I can see, like Vancouver and like all that sort of thing. Now, for whatever reason, I was out on my deck and I saw this like flash of light, and then it's like, holy cow! So I ended up videotaping it, but there was like 200 lightning strikes or something in a couple hours, and I could basically see all of them. And the next day on the map, like the local fire department posted a link of all the lightning strike spots, and it was like just that made me realize how lucky I am of like because I could see everything, all just like right there, and it was like, and then the next day all the pictures from everybody, just like I love lightning. It's so beautiful. Do you guys get a lot of that kind of weather down there?
I've never really looked at like the atmospheric disturbances that closely, but that is actually an interesting take on it. It's starting to hit me that's almost 1 here, so I may let you go pretty soon, man.
Yeah, no worries. I do appreciate you staying up this late. It's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been great having the chat, but I'm starting to realize that I'm not 22 anymore.
No, I understand. Okay. Well, I did want to like ask you a couple of questions about the techie stuff, but maybe we could do this again sometime.
Yeah, I would
'cause
actually
I'm a
love
bit
to
of,
do a second episode sometime if you might be open to that.
oh, for sure. And if you know anybody else that wants to get in on this action too, it's I'm uh, I'm trying to do a show more East Coast time because I have quite a few people on the East Coast that are bugging me. So I'm trying to coordinate like a East Coast selection party
Well, I mean,
type thing.
if they're Wall Street bankers, you should be fine because enough cocaine, you don't sleep. So
Yeah, no, sleep is good. I usually just I do this on the weekends and then go to bed after. I don't really stay up too late, and um, try and make my content like once a week and not so much banging out something every day, but a good hour makes up for what I missed out. I don't know, but okay, well, yeah, let's do another episode, and we'll make it a bit more techie because I'm all about the techie stuff too, and
yeah, we can kind of
some
split
good
it up into
questions.
2 different like areas. That sounds like a plan.
Sweet, man. Well, thank you so much again. And everybody out there, check out the 420sports.net and also basketballrehab.com. I did check out your website a little bit earlier, but I didn't go too far in because I kind of wanted to leave it more natural. I like to go into the unknown and not really do homework, as some interviewers would say. Um, but I do appreciate you coming on the show, and it's awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been great. Thanks for your time, man.
Sweet, awesome. And yeah, message me up and we'll set up another show and we'll get a bit more promotion going on. And And yeah, any predictions on who's going to win the basketball this year?
I did in closing, I actually did a sarcastic article that's picking the Lakers, but I wouldn't actually be shocked because it's really hard to bet against them. So,
and that Harden trade the other day, and I agree with you. I saw your post about Drakovic just kicking ass the other day. I watched him play last year in the playoffs. It was the first time I ever saw him play, and he dropped that like 40-point game or 46-point game against the Spurs. So yeah, he's got some skills. So I wouldn't put it past the guy like that to win. This year's like the dark horse year, I think. I wouldn't say the Lakers, but somebody like that, Luka Doncic, just like coming out of nowhere. I think that's what I see. But yeah,
anything's possible. We'll find out soon enough. It's been great chatting.
Man. Yeah, man. Cheers. Have a good night. And I'm gonna let you go. And I'll say goodbye to everybody else. Cheers, man. Have a good night. All right. Thanks again, everybody. I am gonna call it a night as well. It was a great DuBe time. We'll see you again next week, next Saturday night. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. I DJ'd last night with 4 tables. It was a little chaotic and crazy. I don't know what I was thinking, but I just went with it. I hope you enjoyed. And I will see you next week for DuBe time. Thank you for tuning in again, and goodbye.